But my journey started there, and for 12 and a half years, I directed the Office of Development at Arrowhead Springs. And it was under a centralized development office, which meant there was no decentralization of any kind. If anybody wanted money, they came to one office, and then we were overwhelmed. We really felt like there was a scarcity mentality because everybody had needs and nobody wanted to work on fund development. One of the things that we had to do back in the mid-'70s was I was assigned the task of raising all the money for the I Found It campaign. The I Found It campaign was in 180 cities across the United States. It was the I Found It, You Can Find It Too, Here's Life America campaign. And it was, oh, by the way, we got to raise money, so Larry, whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing and figure this out, and you can work with this one consulting group and they will help you. And I was just like, all of a sudden I was a duck that was thrown into an empty pond. I mean, there was no water to swim with at that particular time. But through that process, we developed, and that was the first time that reps ever started to exist. We brought on 15 guys who began to train people in principles that would help them raise the money. And in 18 and a half months, we raised $10.5 million through 180 cities across the United States. All pretty much cash, all for media, all for infrastructure to get the job done and equip people through the I Found It campaign. What Jim and I are going to do for you here in the next 45 minutes or so is walk you through the 16 core principles that made that $10.5 million possible. The closer a potential donor can relate to the cause, the greater his gift will be. When the prospect is asking to contribute in order to fund a specific share of the overall need or relate his gift to a particular item which is an integral part of the cause, he will be more likely to contribute well. His gift will be smaller if he is only challenged to give to the general cause. The idea here is if you say, would you give to our general cause? The first thought is, that's going to go down the black hole, you will be unaccountable, and I'll never see any part of it again. That's what goes through their brain. They will give you sometimes to general cause, but what we did in this particular principle was key to the $10.5 million because we were selling media time in specific markets. And if you give, would you underwrite the billboards? Would you underwrite the television? Would you underwrite? We had it all broke down of what those things would cost. And if $150,000, $200,000 budget in the city, which was a big budget in those days, had about 10 or 15 categories, and people could pick their category of what they gave to. But if we'd asked for $150,000 to just implement the program, in most cases, we'd have got smaller gifts. People try to see how their little bit of mortar fits into the brick wall. Developing initial momentum is perhaps the most difficult part of a fundraising appeal. The best manner of accomplishing this is through a receipt of early large commitments, and when the pace of giving and peer involvement is set early, activity rapidly accelerates. Money begets money is an indisputable fact in any effective development situation. So if we have a $10 million need, we need $3.5 to $4 million before anybody knows we're going to do anything. Because we've got to say, there's enough people already that are believing in it early on that this is happening. This city in the United States was doing the I Found It campaign. We found a foundation in that city that would give us they give us a cap gift of 1/4 of the total amount needed. Okay, we knew those were the conditions. We needed $100,000 in this particular city. So a cap gift would have been $25,000. Is that all making sense so far? But we said, what is Campus Crusade investing in that city to pull off this campaign? We added up all the staff salaries that existed, all of the equity that was being put into that city, all of the R&D that was going in to develop their media, which was stuff that they didn't have to pay for on the out front. We came up with about a $425,000 budget for that city for 9 months. This is way back in the dark ages when dollars were smaller. The foundation did not give us $25,000. They gave us $100,000 because the momentum was established that we honestly needed to pull off what we were doing, the $425,000. When you work with me and I work with you on projects and you're developing this, we are always coming back to say, how much is this thing really costing? How much are you already raising for it? We start to try to package that in the context of true realities, not in a slice of life that is not reality. Because a slice of life may be just how much you got to pay for one aspect of it. It's amazing what you do. Now, what scares people to death is when they look at the numbers, they're bigger. And then but you can show where that other resources are coming from, say, outside of that particular strategy. Other commitments are being made. We can help you get there, and this is a little tricky, but it takes a lot of work to figure out what sometimes is really needed for larger packaged projects.